But to mention, we have two recent champions of our districts. That is District 121 and District 122 champions. Vanya and Thomas are with us. So now we will hear from them what were their signature speeches that make them champion. First, we will go towards Thomas. Thomas, over to Thomas. Kindly tell about something which made you the champion. What was the theme? What was the content? How you delivered? Any uh, remembrance of that speech? Over to Thomas.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hassan. In fact, there was there. In fact, we had an early interaction about 3 months ago in a different club, and while my original speech was for 5 minutes and 20 seconds, when I was asked to describe my speech, it took me almost 8 to 9 minutes. So I had asked the moderator whether it will be easier to probably play that speech here itself rather than talk about it. But he said that it's better that I talk about it. Okay. In fact, the crux of my speech was about trying to link the timer cards to a tall tale speech. So what I did was we are all familiar with the fact that we have a green, yellow, and a red card, and that
Mm,
just comes by itself in any Toastmaster event. So what I did was I tried to imagine that like there was a shrimp with a long tail. The title of my speech was The Shrimp with a Long Tail. And I started saying that I was a normal person until I met the shrimp with the long tail. I saw him in a factory near my home, and I visited him the first day wearing a green shirt, second day in a yellow shirt, and the third day in a red shirt. And suddenly I was transformed to a shrimp with a long tail. And there, thanks to this online mode, I was able to just close this screen. And when I opened it, I had the prop of the shrimp on my head. So in about 30, 40 seconds, you have a totally different scenario playing out. And then, and then you had the exaggerations coming in. I was transported to the Walmart in the US. And then, one guy called as Bill picked me up and took me home. But I could sense that he was slightly sad. Two things made him sad. One, he was not sure about the direction of his business. Secondly, he was unsure about marrying his fiancée. But I told him, don't worry, Bill. Stop making doors and focus on windows. And yes, marry her. You'll be with her for 27 years. Fortunately, a week before that only, Bill Gates and Melanie had decided to separate. So that was 27 years after that. So I was able to link it up. And then, Bill Gates actually used to make MS DOS also. And then he decided to stop DOS and start focusing on Windows. So it was like, the shrimp with the tall tail was the guy who told him, one, to focus on making Windows, and two, to marry Melanie. So that was my role with Bill Gates. And then I told him I wanted to go back to India, but he said, no, my friend needs your help. And then he, gifted me to another Bill, one Bill Clinton. And there I was in the White House. And there, Bill and there were, some issues about the family. They were, fighting over someone called Monica. And, all those things are all, suddenly gets back into the it gets back into the audience minds. And then I told him, don't worry, Bill. Why don't you ask her to take your job? And that's how Hillary decided to become the first lady to run for US presidency. Yeah. So Bill was so happy that, till date, the families remained intact. So again, the shrimp has a role there. Then I told him I want to go back to India purely. And then he said, okay, there's a guy who can help. And he gifted me to a guy called as Shashi Tharoor. And who was earlier the minister in India, and he is now a member of parliament from Kerala. And so he brought me here, but he's well-known author. So I told him I cannot understand any of the words that he speaks, So you should somehow get me out of this. And in between, whenever the timer shows the light, I say, do I see a green color here? And then next time when the timer shows yellow, I told him, I think the color charm is working. So next time, if he shows me red, then I'll become a human again. And then, so anyway, the poor timer has to show the red card when it is 5 minutes. The moment he showed the red card, my in fact, my prop was out. I was in my normal self. And I told him, see, the color charm worked, and I am again a normal person, just like you. And most probably, our timer has become the shrimp. That's how I entered the tournament. So I think, for a change, I was able to talk about it in about 5 minutes only, the same as the speech that I took. 2 points which I wanted to highlight was one, just as DJ Marid said, when you draft your speech, you have to revise it. And for that, fortunately, in our club, we had a couple of good mentors who were able to spare their time and help you change certain ideas so that your delivery and your speech becomes really effective. The second part is when you concentrate on your delivery, you must be exactly sure as to where what antique should be played. If you're planning to take it, just like, okay, come what may, I'm sure this is not going to really work in a contest setting. It might work in a club setting, but never in a contest setting. So I was able to, thanks to my mentors as well as the other friends in the club, all of them gave many inputs as to how certain things can be changed. So I feel when you plan to contest at a slightly higher level, then it's not that you are the single person contesting. It is your story, but there are many people, your club members, your mentors, who would prove to be the wind beneath your wings. Thank you, and over to moderator.